Alright everybody, hello and welcome. As always, I am Sean and this is In The Mixer as we continue our Football's Coming Home challenge with AFC Bournemouth. So it's been quite a few days since I actually played the game and loaded up this save. I've had a lot going on this week. It's been my birthday, so I'm old as shit now. And other things like a new Spider-Man game came out that I got very wrapped up in. I don't have a PlayStation, but there's been so much great content around it. I'm desperate to play that game. And also the FIFA 19 demo came out, which I know it's kind of got a little bit of mixed reviews, like a lot of people complaining about no new features or anything, but I played the demo and I thought it was great, so I'll definitely be picking it up this year. I do actually have a copy of every single FIFA that has ever come out. It's on my bookshelf, and I'll probably chuck a photo up on Twitter or something like that once FIFA has actually come out, and I'm sure I'll probably disappear for a couple of days from this channel, or I may even look at uploading some content from FIFA 19 onto the channel if there's a market for it and if people want to see it. Now, huge episode today for Bournemouth and our journey towards continental qualification. First and foremost, we have our FA Cup semi-final match against Man City, which is going to be played at Wembley, which is an awesome trip for us. Then we'll be playing West Ham at home. After that, they are currently 18th and fighting for their survival in the Premier League. And given where we're currently sitting in the Premier League, it's going to be super important to get 3 points in that game. I desperately want to catch Crystal Palace to be this close with 4 games remaining, with a superior goal difference now, with Watford, Man City, and then playing Crystal Palace. I think it's there for the taking. But we'll need to be at our best to do that. Now, in the previous episode, we played Charlton in our FA Cup 6th round match with a good 2-0 victory there away at the Valley. Ashley Barnes and Jermaine Defoe got the goals, obviously, if you watch that episode. Then a 2-0 defeat to pretty much Olivier Giroud against Chelsea, who are exceptional in this game and currently second in the Premier League. Since then, we've actually been in pretty decent form. A 2-0 win to Aston Villa, a Seamus Coleman own goal very late in the 77th minute, and Ashley Barnes with the sealer on the 82nd. They made us work for this, definitely. Our defence struggled a little bit in patches, but we were good enough to come away with the result in the end. Then we played bottom of the league, Swansea at home, a 2-0 victory. Never really got out of second gear in this game, I don't feel. Andrew Sermon and Jermaine Defoe were the key performers in that one. Jermaine Defoe's actually been in a nice little run of scoring form, coming off the bench in a couple of games now and picking up decent match ratings or assists or goals or whatever else. And then an absolutely phenomenal 3-0 victory away to Arsenal, and Jack Grealish was phenomenal in this game. I think I've kind of not picked on him, but I think when we signed Ryan Sessegnon and Jordan Ibe was fit, Jack Grealish was the first one to drop to the bench each time, but he set up a goal, he scored one of his own, he was just a menace in pretty much all the highlights that came through. He took the lead for us in the 9th minute, Andrew Sermon doubling that in the 40th, and then Danny Ings with the sealer off the bench in the 90th minute. So a phenomenal result against an Arsenal side that has been very strong in previous episodes and in previous games against us. So fingers crossed we can carry some of that form into the game against Man City today, because they are an exceptional team as well. Let's go ahead and have a look at the lineup that we're going to be using. We're going to go attacking for this game. We're playing at a neutral venue. It's a big game. I think we're probably going to do better trying to outscore them than we are trying to defend against them. I think they'll get something. We're just not that strong at the back. Even though we are coming off 3 clean sheets, I understand the irony there, but against the good teams, if we've stepped off them a little bit, we haven't done as well. So Butland in goal, Mings and Cook will play as the full backs. I think they have both pretty much nailed down those spots. Gibson and Maguire as the central defensive partnership, Cook and Sermon in midfield, Sessegnon on the left, Grealish on the right, hopefully he carries on his form from the Arsenal game, and Barnes and Wilson up top. Got really good depth on the bench. I've actually left out Jermaine Defoe entirely because Danny Ings scored in his last appearance. The only person you could probably say we're missing is Jordan Ibe. He's probably another 2 weeks away before being fully fit and able to actually come off the bench or play in a game. So we're going to give him that opportunity, because if we win this game today, we'll be in an FA Cup final, and if we are going to Wembley, I really want him to be involved in that day, because he was phenomenal for us for the first 6 months of the season. He's only not playing because he's injured. That's pretty much it. So let's go and have a look at the match preview here. So you can see here we're in relatively strong form, only 1 defeat in our last 4, that game against Chelsea. They're in inconsistent form, but they are also competing in the Champions League as well. I believe they actually have, true to life this year, Champions League semi-final against Liverpool that they're working through at the moment. Right, so let's go through the City line up here. They've got Claudio Bravo in goal, Edison's dropped to the bench, Gaia and Walker as the fullbacks, Laporte and Company as the central defensive partnership. Ilkay Gundogan will hold the midfield, Delphin Toure in front of him, Bernardo Silva and Zinchenko on the wings, and Jesus up top. Now, what's really interesting about this is that they have rested Aguero, Silva, Fernandinho, Otamendi, De Bruyne, Danilo, Stones, Aspas, Mendy, and Sane is injured. But they are absolutely taking us lightly and rotating their players. And I understand that they've got a crazy schedule and they've got FA Cup, like Champions League semi-finals that we spoke about coming up in a couple of days. But the disrespect to going to an FA Cup semi-final against us, who haven't been in horrible form, and playing essentially reserve players in some instances, is absolutely horrendous. So I desperately want to beat them today. I really want to have a good game and a good result and get one over on Pep. I haven't beaten him yet so far in this save, but we have drawn with them earlier in the league against their actual starting lineup. So hopefully that's a bit of a confidence boost for all the players that we have on our side, that they're playing a reserve setup and that we can actually get something out of this game. But enough from me. Let's jump into the dressing room here and let's passionately say this is a great opportunity to show the pundits that they've been right to back you up. Everyone seems pretty motivated. I'm going to also say passionately to the defence. I think there's a lot more to come from you. They all look relatively happy with that, so that is good. Probably could have said something about them making the final or being in the final, but I know that that pundits backing you up one is consistently pretty positive. We're in here, Grealish is in, got a crosser in, but Laporte gets away. Barnes now, or tries to square it up to Callum Wilson, and Company puts it out for a corner. So decent start in the first 30 seconds. Grealish never beats the first man, not ever. Lewis Cook with a strike. What an absolutely phenomenal strike that is. I cannot wait to see that one in 3 dimensions. We're a goal up against Manchester City in the first minute. Holy shit. All right, Jack Grealish, he knew what he was doing all along. I never should have questioned him. It's Toure that heads away, Cook with a strike, and I feel like Edison maybe would have saved it. It's really top corner, but he was on that side, so a phenomenal start from us. Comes flying out of the gates here, and Lewis Cook, who has been probably our most improved player throughout the course of the season, puts us a goal up, and if we can just kind of hold on. They've got the ball now, Toure in midfield to Delph. Played forward to Zinchenko. It looks like he swapped wings with Bernardo Silva. It's all the way back to Butland. Barnes will go up now against Laporte. He wins the header. Callum Wilson's coming forward. He's broken past one and he strikes from the top of the 18 on his wrong foot, and it's just gone wide. Exciting though. Exciting stuff. We're playing some decent football. We should try putting in more crosses. We're superior in the air today. I'm sure the next thing he'll tell me is that we're getting overrun in midfield, but that's to be expected against Man City. Cook now with the ball. Sermon plays it forward to Barnes. Barnes has been, he skips past Gundogan somehow. Cook now with a decent touch. Wilson plays a reverse ball to Sessegnon and Walker cuts it out. Bravo's going to knock a long ball forward. Barnes is doing a ton of work defensively as that defensive forward, chasing down wingers and stuff like that. Jesus has gotten in and it's a good finish. Gabriel Jesus. So their first real highlight of the game, and it's Gabriel Jesus skipping past 3 players and finding the finish. Like, credit to him, he's a very good player, but frustrating. Barnes with great tracking there. Zinchenko to Delph, and it's just sort of a long ball forward. Maybe catches Maguire out a little bit, who all of a sudden has a mohawk. Touches inside at Ben Gibson, who isn't as quick as Jesus, and it's a good finish, to be fair. We started brightly, we just need to continue that. There it is, we've been seriously overrun in midfield. It doesn't matter what shape you play, you're always going to get that one. Jesus has been their best performer so far as we get towards the half an hour mark. Obviously Cook with the goal for us gives him a massive boost. Struggling to keep possession was the highlight. Grealish has brought the ball now on the right-hand side. Jose Gaia just takes it forcefully from him. And Jesus is through again here, and it's a good strike, and I think that one clipped the bar as it went over, or Butler saved it. Look, judging by there's no corner highlight, I'm assuming that it clipped the bar and went over. Yes, we need to get to Gabriel Jesus a little bit quicker. Bernardo now with the corner. It's away by Wilson, but only as far as Bernardo again. Whips the ball in, and I'm not sure what happened there. We'll have a look here in 3 dimensions. It might have been that Steve Cook has tackled someone and Company has poked home. It might have been... Alright, so Wilson with a decent tackle, and now it's the second ball in that causes the trouble. It's pretty close. Looks like it hit Steve Cook and bounced to Company about a yard out, which is disappointing. I thought when we scored in the first minute we were going to be doing alright to half time, but City go 2-1 up, and looking at the stat line here, Grealish and Sessegnon have suffered today. Butler now with the long ball forward. Can we find an equaliser before half time? No, it looks like it's going to be Zinchenko forward to Jesus, who every time he's gotten on the ball has looked very dangerous. Silva now with a strike from distance, and thankfully Butland gets his body behind that one and holds. 2 minutes to be added on. Tyrone Mings and Andrew Sermon with yellow cards, which is something to watch out for. Alright, dressing room. We're going to passionately say, I don't think any of you played as well as you're capable of, except Lewis Cook, who hasn't responded well. Just say calmly to him, I'm very happy with your performance, and he's still switched off. So let's just go defense. I think there's a lot more to come from you. Midfield, there's a lot more to come from you. And up front, there's a lot more to come from you. And at least we've gotten Sermon and Wilson to respond positively to that. What can we do in terms of our tactics or our instructions? Okay, so we need to close down Gabriel Jesus a little bit quicker. So we're just going to add that one in as well. Everything he's done has... And we might do the same with Bernardo Silva. Let's just kick the crap out of Silva and Jesus and see if that does anything for us. And we'll apply that advice. Now, I don't think I'm going to do anything in terms of halftime subs. Wilson struggling, Sessegnon and Grealish are struggling. A couple players at the back probably could be doing a little bit better as well. And Ming's yellow card is something to be concerned about. So I'm going to give it 15 minutes and we'll see who's responded positively. And then we'll go from there. Because if I make subs too early, I'll end up getting a red card or I'll end up getting an injury or something like that. I know the game too well. They're coming forward now. Is it just a kickoff highlight or are they going to win the ball back? Zinchenko with the ball now. Good tackle from Cook. And is that the end of the highlight? It is. So, making our tactical changes now, or unless they're making tactical changes, I assume they're going to start to rotate some of these youngsters through shortly. Phil Foden's on the bench, who's someone that we've been looking at and on our shortlist for a while now. Fabian Delph. Back to Toure. Cook is a one-man pressing machine there in the middle at the moment. Not getting a lot of help from Sermon. It's a great tackle. We're on the ball up high at the pitch. Barnes is in behind. What can he do with it? He's got Sessegnon arriving back post, and unfortunately he strikes from the right-hand side and never really looked like causing any danger. Okay, so we're getting towards an hour mark now. I'll let this highlight play out, and then we'll see where we're at. Hopefully it's not a goal for them. Gibson with the ball forward, but only as far as Gundogan. To Toure now, to Delph. It's a ball in behind. Mings is tidied up. It goes all the way back to Butland. Long clearance forward, but only as far as Gundogan. And credit to Lewis Cook. He closed down well there. Mings has cut this one out again. Back to Gibson, who coughs the ball up immediately. Got to go to Jesus, and he has scored an absolute fucking blinder. Skipping past two challenges, and I think on his left foot, putting that one right into the top corner across the goalkeeper. Disappointing from Tyrone Mings. And that's pretty poor from Gibson as well, to be fair. And once he's got that little pocket of space to run into, there's no real stopping him. So let's go to our tactics. So let's pause the game. Jump into our tactics. It's an hour gone. Grealish is having a poor game. So we're going to bring on Mark Pugh on the right-hand side. Ben Gibson is struggling, so we're going to bring Steve Cook inside and bring on Simon Francis on the right. And we're going to go to overload. Actually, no, we won't do that, but what I will do is bring on Ings for Callum Wilson. So players that are out there and still struggling, Harry Maguire, Tyrone Mings, Sessegnon, I'm gambling. I'd rather go for it and try and actually get something back, because otherwise we're just going to kind of pathetically go out, and if we get an injury or we get a red card, then so be it. I've at least gambled and tried to go for it rather than sat back and been conservative. Look at these stat lines here. We are struggling all over the place. Let's go play and see what happens. So 3 subs after an hour. They've got 30 minutes to go out there and be the difference for us. I desperately want to make an FA Cup final. It would be absolutely phenomenal in terms of achievements for our first seasons. It's not anything I expected to happen within the first 1 or 2 years. And to be honest, our league performance has been ahead of where I thought it was going to be as well. Maguire should tidy the ball up here. Goes for a long ball forward towards Barnes. Laporte pushes him off really well. Lewis Cook has been fantastic today in midfield. Definitely our best performer. Pugh with the ball forward. Bernardo's recovered well. Gabriel Jesus is on a hat-trick and we need to close him down. And thankfully his drive from the top of the 18-yard box is just wide. Okay, let's go last 18 minutes or so. Let's go to overload. It's not anything that we've trained. And let's go attacking fullbacks, because we need to get after it. That's all we can do. Sermon with a decent tackle now. So they've got another highlight, it looks like. Ball forward to Jesus again. He's tackled, but only as far as Sermon. Steve Cook wins the ball back. Barnes now with the ball. Played forward to Ings. He's got an overlapping runner in Sessegnon. He finds him now. There's men getting into the box. Hangs one at back post. It's brought back down by Sermon. Sermon again. It's pinballing around in there. Out to Francis, out to Pugh on the right-hand side. Can he get a decent ball in? No, he is adjudged offside, I believe. So it might have just been a highlight to show us the pinball in the box or to let the changes go through. I'm not entirely sure. 15 minutes remaining. Let's use our last shout as well. Push forward. They've brought on Phil Foden for Yaya Toure and Sterling on for Zinchenko. So decent players to be able to bring off the bench. Their depth across positions is absolutely fantastic. Mings brings that one back. Sermon with the ball forward now. Laporte with the ball now. Plays it out to Walker on the right-hand side. Sessegnon doesn't get to him that quickly, which is frustrating. Foden to Delph. One back by Sermon. Oh, he's coughed the ball up in a dangerous area. Bernardo is there. Jesus has overlapping runners. Maguire goes all the way back to Butland, and Butland just hacks that one away as best he can. Barnes will tidy up now. Oh, he looks for a crossfield switch that probably wasn't on. Lewis Cook now plays Ings in behind. Can he find the finish? He does. Danny, grab the ball. Please grab the ball, Danny. Great assist from Lewis Cook. It's a goal and an assist from him today. Oh, you can tell I'm addicted to this game because I'm actually starting to get really nervous and get like pit sweats and whatever else. Oh, it's a good win back, and it's a lovely weighted pass in behind. Ings doesn't rush it and just passes that one into the side netting. You wonder if Edison maybe would have done a bit better, but this is what they get for rotating their squad as much as they have. All right, have I got another shout in me? Push forward. Everyone go for it. So I haven't seen much in terms of improvement from our stats going to overload. We're into extra time now. Another yellow card for Lewis Cook. And this is the last 45 seconds. Is there going to be some late drama, or is this the end of the game? Sermon with the ball now to Pugh. Played inside to Lewis Cook. Goes out for the overlapping Francis. Tries to get a ball in, only as far as Sermon. Just get the ball in, lads. Lewis Cook plays it through to Ings. Can he find a strike? Oh, he does, but Bravo is equal to it and holds. Sessegnon was lurking back post. Maybe if you had hung a ball up there. Bravo with the long ball forward now. Cook goes up. It's with Sterling, and we've crossed over into the last bits of extra time. Going to be a throw in here. Do we have enough time to win the ball back? And no, the referee has blown for full time. We fall at sort of the final hurdle in this FA Cup semi-final. So not ideal. After going a goal up in the first minute, I thought maybe we would get something out of that game, but a 3-2 defeat to Man City. Man City are incredibly strong. The fact that they can rotate their squad that much and still beat us shows the gap between where we're sitting in 6th and the teams that are like really up there and challenging for the Champions League spots. Andrew Sermon's injured, out for 1 to 2 days. That shouldn't be too big a problem. And look, if you look at the stat line and stuff, it's probably a fair result. It's just frustrating to get so close to our first cup final and then to fall at that particular hurdle. But it is the first real Premier League opposition that we've had to beat in the competition, so I shouldn't complain too much. Okay, so looking at the squad here, everyone seems to be in relatively good spirits. I'm not going to change too much. I might give everybody a day off just as a bit of a reward, but what we'll do is jump forward to the game against West Ham, and hopefully we can get a decent result and a good win in this episode to kind of make up for the crushing disappointment of an FA Cup semi-final defeat. So through magic of editing, we'll jump forward to that game now. Okay, so I've jumped back a day early because from the disappointment of our FA Cup result, we may have had Watford come out and do a massive favour for us against Crystal Palace. So Crystal Palace have now played 2 more games than us, but are still only a point ahead because they lost one of their catch-up games against Watford, who we play in a couple of days. Ragnar Klavan on loan, I think, from Liverpool, with a goal in the 21st minute to beat them at Vicarage Road. So, cheers Watford, appreciate your help. Now let's jump ahead to our game because we're now desperate to win it because it'll put us all the way up into 5th spot. Okay, so looking at the preview here, they're in fair form. They've won 1 of their last 5. I'm not sure how that's fair, but they keep drawing games across their last 3, it looks like. They are still a sort of a half chance to stave off relegation. It'll either be them or Newcastle, you'd think, but they are currently 4 points behind the turn. And they've got some decent players. It's a weird one because they always seem to be down this area. Similar to Everton as well. Everton always seem to struggle in saves that I've seen. Let's have a look at the team that we're going with. And to be honest, I don't really want to change too much. And my assistant agrees. So it'll be Butland in goal, Mings and Cook as the fullbacks, Gibson and Maguire in the centre of defence, Cook and Sermon continuing their fantastic combination in the centre of midfield, Sessegnon and Grealish on the wings, and Barnes and Wilson. So hopefully we get a bit more of an improved performance out of the wingers particularly. But I can't really complain. We've had a fantastic season. I shouldn't really be getting frustrated with anybody. But we're going to go attacking. We're going to beat the living piss out of them at Dean Court. And we're going to secure 5th spot in the Premier League. Having a look at their team, Masuaku and Ter Arvest, who I think they've signed from FC Twente, is hidden behind my head. Ogbonna and Winston Reid, the big Kiwi at the back. Joe Hart, of course, in goal. Mark Noble and Wow Mario. I know it's João Mario, but I like saying Wow Mario. Ronnie Lopez at the 10, Arnautovic and Antonio on the wings. Antonio we actually looked at as our potential right wing option during the off-season, but they wanted an insane amount of money for him. And Javier Hernandez, little Chicharito up front. On the bench, Andy Carroll, another one that we put in a bid for, but wanted insane amounts of money. Ex-Man City's Abieta, Stuart Dallas, who it looks like they've picked up from Leeds, I believe. Kaleri, Obiang, Creswell and Adrian. Maybe we can have a look at Aaron Creswell as well. Let's add him to our shortlist, because we have been looking to improve that left back spot, and he may be someone that we could have a look at. He's better than Charlie Daniels or Tyrone Mings, so that's a good one to keep in mind. But enough from me. Let's actually jump into the game here. Assertively say, play your own game, will win. And the defense is switched off, which is disappointing, and we haven't been able to bring them back. So that's fine, not the greatest team talk we've ever done. And let's kick off our return to Dean Court after travelling to Wembley throughout the week. Love to finish this episode with a decent result. Nothing worse than like playing games off screen and winning them 2-0, 3-0, whatever else, and then coming back and recording an episode and you've lost all the games that you've played in it. And it happens more often than you'd think. So early doors, we haven't conceded anything. They've got a couple of players dropping off in match ratings while ours are remaining pretty consistent so far, which I think is a good sign for us. We're being overrun in midfield. We're always overrun in midfield. I don't even know why he tells me anymore. It's ball across to Wilson. Sessegnon on the overlap. Hangs one up back stick to Grealish, and it's a decent strike, but Joe Hart is equal to it. Gets down well. Grealish will take the corner now. He's beaten the first man, but not the man in the middle to Ervest. Sessegnon with the ball now. He's tackled by Mark Noble. And that brings that highlight to a close. So at least the first highlight has gone our way if we're going to focus on the little victories that you can get in Football Manager. They're making some tactical changes, it looks like, so I'm not sure what changes they're making, but they aren't having much impact on the highlights so far, though they are keeping more of the ball than us. So as soon as I say that, curse of the commentator, it automatically goes to 50-50. Now, a draw under current setting would be enough to move us up into 5th spot. Crystal Palace dropping down to 7th and Tottenham jumping up into 6th behind us. There are some good teams lurking. Leicester aren't too far behind. Liverpool aren't far behind them either, but Liverpool are actually in Champions League semi-finals at the moment, so I'm sure that will catch up with them at some point. They're trying to play the ball out here. It's forward to Chicharito now. It's good closing down on halfway. I need Sermon to step to Noble with the ball. Chicharito now on halfway. It's a nice little triangle. They haven't had much. Cook wins it back well. Barnes and Wilson look to counter. Barnes plays to Cook again. He's fed Wilson in. Can he find the finish? He finds Sessegnon on the overlap. It's a great save from Joe Hart, but Jack Grealish is on hand, that little fox in the box, to poke that one home, and it's a pretty solid counter-attack against them, actually. Wilson and Barnes doing well here. Barnes just holds the ball up fantastically well. Finds Cook, who makes a great overlapping run. Thought maybe Wilson was going to strike, but he has the common sense to find Sessegnon. It's a good save from Joe Hart, to be fair, down low to his left. But thankfully, Grealish has made the supporting run, and he gets a pretty simple goal to put us a goal to the good and help us secure 5th spot and Europa League football. Mings now with the ball in, finds Sermon. Sermon to Cook, back to him again, all the way back to Gibson. It's a crossfield switch, but it's cut out pretty easily. Chicharito now on the counter is coming forward. It's a good tackle. Grealish has won the ball back now. Barnes plays Cook. He's got a man over on the left here in Sessegnon. He finds him now. That's a deep ball in, and it probably wasn't on, but Sermon's going to tidy up for him, so we retain possession. Ball in behind. Reid is going to tidy up now with Wilson closing down. Mings wins the ball back from Antonio to Gibson again to Cook. Sermon with the long ball over the top. Wilson's onside. Can he find the finish? He does. He beats Joe Hart at his near post, and we are 2-0 up inside the first half. Callum Wilson with his first goal back from a long injury layoff. He did have a long period where he wasn't scoring. It's not that he wasn't playing well. He and Barnes have been fantastic for me. It's just that he wasn't necessarily finding the back of the net. But decent finish here. Maybe could have squared it up. Hart looked like he dove before the shot had actually been hit. And that one is a decent return for what has so far been an alright performance. Ogbonna to Wow Mario now. Ball forward to Arnautovic. He's cut inside. It's cut out by Mings and away by Butland. Winston Reid puts it straight back in, and Steve Cook comes across and claims. Wilson now coming forward with the ball. He's tackled by Mark Noble. Arnautovic on their left-hand side. Looks for Masuaku on the overlap. Well, it's a ball in behind for Arnautovic. He's going to get there first. Cuts the ball back towards Chicharito, and he's hit the crossbar, and it's come back out, thankfully, luckily for us. Keeps that clean sheet intact. We are now at halfway, and we're decent value for our lead, according to the commentator. Calmly, very pleased with the performance. Keep it going, lads. No need to overcomplicate things there. We do have a game in, I think, 2 days against Watford. And then, of course, we've got our revenge mission against Manchester City in a couple of days as well. So just looking to keep morale as high as I can right up until the end of the season. Try not to get ahead of myself and talking too much about the end of the year. There will be a couple of players we probably try and cash in on a little bit. No one that's performed for us exceptionally. If you perform well this year, you're going to get opportunities again next year. But I do think there are more squad improvements that we can make, certainly to our depth, so that we can, have 15, 16 high-quality first-team ready players, rather than at the moment where we have very clear and defined starters and very clear and defined backups or squad players. Antonio's in behind now, and West Ham have pulled one back. They do say 2-0 is the hardest lead to defend. And to be fair, it wasn't a bad move by them, but I think I kind of just switched off a little bit. To Arvest, comes back inside to Mario. He plays Mark Noble. Then Mark Noble picks out Antonio's run. He gets in behind Tyrone Mings, which is a concern. I do think that left back spot and potentially right back as well are two areas that we probably need to improve a little bit. So 2-1, we're getting towards the hour mark. No one's playing particularly poorly. Ben Gibson and Steve Cook seem to be struggling at the back, so we might look to make subs. There is a highlight here. Might just watch the end of this highlight before I do anything. Sessegnon has the ball on the left now. It's a deep ball across. Barnes goes up, and Grealish at the back post gets his second of the game. They're telling me Mikel Antonio is pulling all the strings, but I don't think that's the case when we're 3-1 up. So decent play here. Maguire with his, for whatever reason, Mohawk. Cook with a lovely left-footed ball out to Sessegnon. And it looks like Barnes is going to go up for this one. He misses it entirely. I'm not sure if it's a deliberate dummy or if he just missed the header. Thankfully, Grealish is there to put that one away. Let's jump into our tactics here. They've brought on Obiang for Ronnie Lopez at that number 10 position. So Gibson and Cook aren't doing too badly. I'm going to bring on Francis at right back. He's a squad leader. I try and keep him on side. If there's a player not playing that well, I'll bring him on for a period. We might also give Junior Stanislas some time on the left wing. He's been very patient. And we'll go with Jermaine Defoe for Callum Wilson, just to keep all these guys on side. They're very important players in terms of like the hierarchy of the club and the team and their influence on the other players. So if I can keep them happy, and they all seem to have pretty exceptional or perfect morale at the moment, so nothing to complain about. The only two that are a bit frustrated, I think, is Mark Pugh, because I've got a promise on that I have to not sell him, and Nick Pope, who I have a promise in that I'm going to sell him at some point, so we'll have to offload him during the off-season as well. Obiang now, they've got the ball at the top of the 18-yard box. A goal here would make it interesting, but we've won it back. Grealish now at right back. Long ball forward towards Defoe. Can he score against his former team? It's a decent strike on his left foot, but high, wide, and not very handsome. Joe Hart now with a goal kick forward. We should have numbers in the middle. Harry Maguire wins the header. Only as far as Obiang, back into Noble. Chicharito now on their right-hand side. Tries to bring Antonio back into it. Stanislas with a long ball forward, but it's cut out well by the West Ham defence. Ball forward to Chicharito. He's not doing a whole lot. Just retains possession. Looks like Val Mario is playing a little bit further forward. Out to Masuaku on the left-hand side. Arnautovic has gotten in behind again. He hangs the ball up towards Chicharito, and it's a great save from Jack Butland. So they've been a little bit better in the second half. Nothing that I'm concerned about. Noble with the corner now. And he gets it in, but Butland comes out well. And I think Masuaku got a little something on it, but Butland still holds the ball. Grealish has been our top performer with an 8.8. Sessegnon was having a good game, as was Wilson before we took him off. Javier Hernandez on a 6.1, and my assistant has just warned me that he's going to score, so I don't know what game he's watching, and now he's been subbed off for whoever Caleri is. I think Mikel Antonio keeps escaping attention, but that's only because Tyrone Mings isn't playing that well. Alright, and the referee has called full time, so it's a 3-1 win at home to West Ham. They had more shots, less on target, they had more fouls, less yellow cards, and more possession. We really haven't won possession against anybody so far this year. I did get offered a contract earlier by the board, and I asked them to remove the possession instruction. They said they wouldn't do it, so I rejected the contract. They'll come back in, they'll definitely come back in, but I'm going to try and play hardball with them. Assertively, a good win, boys. Well done. No need to overcomplicate things. Just want to keep morale as high as possible. But that brings another episode to a close. Not the greatest of all time. I really would have loved to make the FA Cup final, but sometimes these things aren't meant to be. And I guess it goes to show the golfing class between us and the teams currently sitting, you know, sort of in those Champions League places, the Uniteds, the Cities, the Chelseas, the Arsenals. Their depth is that they can compete on 4 or 5 fronts and get different teams out there and do really well, whereas we pretty much have a set 11. And if they're not available, we're really going to struggle. So the FA Cup run comes to an end. Danny Ings finished as our highest scorer, Lewis Cook our highest average rated player, and Ryan Sessegnon got the most assists. So decent from us. Our expectation was to reach the semi-final, and we did that. I will probably drop that one back down next year. It was just so I could get a little bit more money. Looking at our schedule moving forward, we do have a game very quickly against Watford. I'll play that one off screen, and then we'll come back and do our end of season with a little bit of a review in there as well, with the game against Man City, our revenge mission, heading to the Etihad, and then away from home against Crystal Palace will be a massive game, 5th v 6th as it currently stands in the league itself. But anything could happen with Man City coming up. A heavy defeat there, and we might be right back in the shit in terms of that 5th spot and our challenge to try and get it. More than anything though, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. I hope whatever song I've got playing on the Cherry playlist is a decent one. If you want to be kept up to date on future videos, please subscribe to the channel, or alternatively you can follow in the Mixer FM on Twitter. I will put a link in the description below. But as always, I've been Sean, and I will see you guys again in the Mixer.